Welcome to Brain Bites. Here is one more global linked topic. Today, we're unpacking a monumental shift in the global economy. Europe's absolute crown jewel, the automotive industry, is facing a total structural collapse. For over a century, European mechanical engineering and brand prestige have literally been the undisputed global benchmark, right? But the ground is shifting beneath their feet, and it's shifting incredibly fast. What we're witnessing right now is a historic clash between legacy European automotive makers and a rapidly expanding Chinese electric vehicle empire. To really wrap your head around the sheer scale of this crisis, just think about this number for a second. 22 billion euros. Legacy giants that have completely dominated our roads for decades, companies like Volkswagen and Stellantis, are currently hemorrhaging profits. In 2025, Stellantis alone posted a massive 22 billion euro loss in the middle of a very messy EV reset, and they're gearing up for huge layoffs. Over at Volkswagen, they're facing unprecedented pressure behind their supposed resilience, with potential plant closures looming. The financial bleeding is severe, and it's happening as we speak. And this isn't just some temporary dip in sales. As our source material points out, the European auto landscape is traversing a structural crisis that threatens its very existence. Meanwhile, Chinese brands like BYD and Saks MG are swooping in and rapidly stealing market share. They're totally transforming the EV landscape, not just with aggressive pricing, but with incredibly advanced AI and battery tech. So how exactly do the actual inventors of the modern automobile fall so far behind? And can a desperate new set of European laws actually stop the bleeding? Let's dive in. Part 1. The existential threat, a market under siege. What's truly staggering here is the sheer velocity of the takeover. In just a handful of years, the Chinese battery electric vehicle share in Europe has absolutely skyrocketed. Across the broader EU, it went from a modest 3.9% back in 2021 to nearly 13% by early 2026. But the United Kingdom, that is where the most dramatic shift has gone down. Chinese brands went from holding a tiny 2.1% slice of the market to commanding over 20% in that exact same time frame. It's basically a textbook market siege. Part 2. The Chinese advantage, the cost chasm, and vertical integration. To understand why this is happening with such crazy speed, we have to talk about the structural advantages Chinese manufacturers have over their European rivals. And trust me, it goes way beyond just cheap labor. The crucial point is the staggering cost chasm. European brands are crippled by their legacy structures. German manufacturers face an average labor cost of over $3,300 per vehicle. That's driven by high wages, strict regulations, and historical union resistance to restructuring. On the flip side, Chinese companies like BYD have a structurally lower cost base. But more importantly, they control their entire supply chain, which slashes costs in ways European automakers simply cannot match right now. This brings us to vertical integration. BYD doesn't just assemble cars. They've built the whole ecosystem. They control everything from the extraction of raw materials like lithium right through to manufacturing their own advanced batteries. But wait, it doesn't stop there. They also develop their own microchips, write their own software, and do the final vehicle assembly. By controlling literally every single step of this process, BYD operates a highly efficient machine that totally neutralizes Europe's historical advantage in mechanical engineering. Now, we need to break a very common misconception right here. Actually, scratch the idea that Chinese EVs are just budget, cheap alternatives. They're not. They are highly advanced AI on wheels. They excel in what the industry calls smart cockpits and software-defined driving experiences. Plus, they operate on incredibly rapid 36-month development cycles. By the time a legacy European automaker has finally finished designing a car, a Chinese competitor has designed, built, and launched one, completely decked out with cutting-edge infotainment systems that rival your smartphone. Part 3. The Trojan horse, scaling distribution instantly. We often hear BYD compared to Tesla, right? But their distribution models couldn't be more different. Tesla burns through billions of dollars building its own direct-to-consumer infrastructure. They own the showrooms, they set the central pricing, they bear all the risk. BYD, however, is using what analysts are calling a Trojan horse strategy. Instead of building from scratch, they're teaming up with massive, already established local dealer networks like Virtue Motors and Arnold Clark in the UK. This lets them instantly scale their presence without the massive upfront financial risk. And this agile distribution network, it is delivering devastatingly effective results. By plugging into these existing dealer networks and offering a broader multi-product lineup, from the low-cost Seagull to compact SUVs and even plug-in hybrids that cure range anxiety, BYD officially overtook Tesla in monthly European battery electric vehicle registrations for the very first time in April 2025. A massive, real game changer of a milestone that proved their localized strategy was a huge operational win. Just to put today's dominant trajectory into perspective, think back just a couple of years ago. Back then, Chinese brands held a measly 2% sliver of the European pie. European brands were absolutely dominating their home turf. Seeing how rapidly that 2% exploded into the double digits in major markets shows you exactly why the halls of power in Brussels are in a state of absolute panic. Which brings us to part 4, Fortress Europe, the desperate counterattack. Facing the very real threat of total deindustrialization, the European Union isn't just sitting on its hands. They are desperately erecting a legislative fortress to stop the bleeding. Following historic anti-subsidy investigations, Europe has pulled the trigger on some unprecedented trade defense measures. They've slapped massive provisional tariffs on Chinese EVs. And we aren't talking small speed bumps here. We're talking about tariffs ranging from an extra 17% on BYD all the way up to a staggering 38% on SAC. The goal is to artificially inflate the price of Chinese imports to give European automakers some much-needed breathing room. But Brussels knows that tariffs alone just aren't enough. Enter the bold new Industrial Accelerator Act, or the IAA. This is a comprehensive industrial policy designed to force foreign companies to play by European rules. It targets increasing manufacturing to 20% of EU GDP by 2035. It introduces mandatory made-in-EU procurement rules. It demands vehicle assembly happen within the Union within 6 months of enactment, and battery components to be localized within 3 years. It even triggers immediate screening for foreign direct investments over 100 million euros. It's a full-scale defensive wall. Part 5. The workaround, outsmarting the tariffs. In the world of corporate warfare, every wall has a ladder, and Chinese automakers are already 2 steps ahead. To completely bypass the tariffs and those strict made-in-EU rules we just talked about, BYD is rapidly building its own massive passenger car plant right directly inside Europe. Specifically, they secured a €248 million investment to build a factory in Szeged, Hungary. Backed by local government incentives, this plant is scheduled to go online by late 2025, pumping out an initial capacity of 150,000 cars annually. Boom! By building inside the fortress, the tariff wall becomes completely irrelevant. And here is the genuinely terrifying truth for legacy European automakers. According to estimates by UBS, even when paying European labor rates and adhering to localized production costs, BYD's structural inefficiencies and vertically integrated supply chain will still allow them to massively undercut Western prices by about 25%. The cost chasm is just that deep. Simply forcing them to build in Europe won't be enough to protect the legacy brand's profit margins. So what does this all mean? Will Fortress Europe's tariffs and the Industrial Accelerator Act be enough to save legacy automakers from collapse? Or is China's vertical integration simply unstoppable at this point? We've laid out the facts, now we want to hear your take. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you like this video, then please share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Keep learning, keep questioning, and we'll see you in the next explainer.